What if I told you that before the Great Flood, the earth wasn't just inhabited by humans, that there were beings so powerful, so dangerous, that God had to erase all traces of them from existence? These weren't dinosaurs. They weren't aliens. They were something far more terrifying, the offspring of angels and humans. The Bible gives us a chilling glimpse of these forgotten beings. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:4. This is the story of why God flooded the entire world to destroy them, and the evidence suggesting they may have returned after the waters receded. In the early days of human history, something unprecedented occurred. Beings of light and power, angels created to serve God, looked down from heaven and made a devastating choice. The Bible tells us, when human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Genesis 6:1-2. These weren't random spirits. The book of Jude reveals their true identity, and the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling. These he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. Jude 1:6. Heaven's own children had rebelled, not by opposing God directly, but by crossing a boundary never meant to be crossed, the divide between the divine and human realms. The union between angels and humans produced something never seen before or since. Their children weren't fully human, nor were they fully divine. They were something else entirely. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:4. But these weren't the heroes of fairy tales. Ancient texts describe them as giants, mighty warriors whose power and influence spread across the ancient world. Their very existence threatened God's plan for humanity. The Bible records the devastating result. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. Genesis 6:5. These hybrid beings became the stuff of legends. Their supernatural heritage gave them advantages no normal human could match. Ancient texts describe them as giants who dominated the pre-flood world. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Genesis 6:4. KJ5. But with great power came great corruption. These beings didn't just rule, they terrorized. Their influence spread like a poison through human civilization. The Bible paints a dark picture. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all people on earth had corrupted their ways. Genesis 6:11-12. The Nephilim had become more than just powerful. They threatened the very future of humanity. Their existence was corrupting God's creation at its core. God's response to this crisis was unprecedented. The corruption was so complete, so irreversible, that only a total reset would suffice. So the Lord said, "I will wipe from the face of the earth the human race I have created, and with them the animals, the birds, and the creatures that move along the ground, for I regret that I have made them." Genesis 6:7. But one man found favor, Noah. His bloodline remained pure, uncorrupted by the Nephilim influence. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Genesis 6:9. The flood wasn't just about punishing wickedness. It was about preserving humanity's future from supernatural corruption. But the story doesn't end with the flood. The Bible makes a cryptic statement that has puzzled scholars for centuries. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. Genesis 6:4. Years after the flood, when the Israelites scouted the promised land, they reported something chilling. "We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them." Numbers 13:33. These post-flood giants, including Goliath and his brothers, suggest that somehow the Nephilim influence survived the flood. Their legacy continued to threaten God's people. The story of the Nephilim shows us just how far God will go to protect humanity's future. If you thought this was shocking, you need to see our investigation into the Ark of the Covenant, God's most powerful weapon that mysteriously vanished from history. The disappearance of these supernatural beings and the divine weapon that could destroy armies both remind us that some things are too powerful for human hands.